Welcome to the deep dive. We are really glad you're here with us today.
Absolutely.
Because if you're a homeowner or a renter, or honestly just someone who's intensely curious about how a major metropolis goes about reinventing its entire foundation,
Mm.
you are in the exact right place.
It is a massive topic.
It really is. Today our mission is to extract the most critical, need-to-know insights from a publication titled Montreal 2050 The Great Neighborhood Shift is underway.
And we've sourced this from wikiresidents.k and infodrone.k.
Right. And I have to say, going into this, I think I expected a dry, bureaucratic city planning document.
Most people do.
Yeah, but what we actually found is this blueprint for the future of urban living, one that is going to directly impact you, your commute, and your literal neighborhood.
It's a striking roadmap. I mean, the tone of the material is distinctly urgent. Montreal is essentially racing against the clock right now.
Yeah, they don't have time to waste.
Exactly. They are attempting to tackle two overlapping crises at the exact same time. You've got a severe housing shortage and the escalating climate emergency.
Right. And to pull that off, tweaking the margins just isn't enough. They have to fundamentally rewrite their urban development model from the ground up.
Let's set the stage a bit for the listener here, because Montreal is an island. They can't just keep sprawling endlessly outward into the suburbs like, some other cities do.
They physically cannot.
Right, they have geographic constraints. Plus, they're dealing with an aging infrastructure and the reality of modern climate issues. Things like intense summer heat islands and unpredictable winter storms.
That geographic constraint is actually the perfect lens for this.
Right.
Because you can't build out, you must build smart. And you must build inward.
Right.
The city has recognized that the old way of doing things, zoning huge areas strictly for single-family homes or separating commercial districts miles away from residential ones, that's exacerbating both the housing crisis and their carbon footprint.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because to fix this, the city rolled out a new master document called the 2050 Urban Planning and Mobility Plan.
Everyone just calls it the PUM. The PUM, yeah. And it replaces the old plan from way back in 2004, which might as well be the Stone Age in terms of urban planning.
It really was a different era.
And while I knew it was a big deal, the sheer scale of the investment caught me completely off guard. Can you walk us through the actual targets the city has set here?
Gladly, because the targets are wildly ambitious. We are looking at projected global investments, and that's combining both public and private sectors that could exceed $100 billion over the coming decades.
$100 billion.
Yes, and the central goal is to build 200,000 new housing units by 2050.
Okay.
But the crucial detail is that 20% of those units must be non-market housing. So we're talking about social housing, cooperatives, and affordable units that are insulated from market speculation.
That is a huge shift.
It is. Alongside that, they're planning 180 kilometers of new tramways and the strict protection of 459 hectares of wetlands and natural spaces.
Those numbers are staggering. But how does building 180 kilometers of tramways and protecting wetlands actually change the day-to-day life of someone listening to this?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, all of those investments are pointing toward one highly specific urban philosophy: the 15-minute city.
Ah, the 15-minute city. I hear this everywhere lately.
It's the core of the plan. For you, the listener, this means the city is aiming for 75% of residents to live in immediate proximity to essential services and structural transport.
So your grocery store, your pharmacy, a park, and a reliable transit stop are all within a 15-minute walk or maybe quick bike ride from your front door.
Exactly. And the why behind it is what's really crucial here. This isn't just about the convenience of grabbing a coffee without starting your car. It is a deliberate structural strategy to reduce territorial inequalities.
Okay, break that down for me.
Think about it. Relying on a personal vehicle is incredibly expensive. Gas, insurance, maintenance, it all adds up. When a city has transit deserts or neighborhoods where you can't safely walk to a grocery store, it disproportionately traps lower-income residents.
Oh, I see.
By decentralizing services and improving local transit, you effectively level the playing field.
I really appreciate that perspective. It frames city planning as an equalizer rather than just bureaucracy. And we are already seeing some pioneers leading this shift, right?
We are.
Like the borough of Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie seems to be really blazing the trail. They've already adapted their local regulations to the 2050 PUM. They're trying to balance gentle densification with protecting their historic architecture.
Rosemont definitely took the first leap. And now we're seeing other boroughs rapidly following suit, each applying that overarching PUM to their specific local environments.
Right, because every neighborhood is different.
Exactly. For example, Villeray-Saint-Michel Park Extension, often referred to as VSP, is tackling this with a two-phase rewrite.
Okay.
Starting in spring 2026, they are adjusting the discretionary regulations, and then they'll follow that up with a complete rewrite of their zoning by 2027.
Okay, let's unpack this,
Mhm.
because city planning is absolutely notorious for its alphabet soup of acronyms and legal jargon.
It really is.
You just used two terms that sound a bit heavy: discretionary regulations and zoning by right. If I'm just a resident trying to figure out what's happening to my street, what is the actual difference between those two?
That is a great question. Think of zoning by right as the permanent rulebook written in ink. It explicitly dictates what is allowed.
Okay.
So if the zoning says you can build a 3-story duplex and you submit a plan for a 3-story duplex that meets all the technical codes, the city legally has to give you the permit.
No questions asked.
Right. Discretionary regulations, on the other hand, are the city's tools for making case-by-case judgments.
Like gray areas.
Exactly. It's an area where the rules are a bit more flexible, which allows city officials to evaluate project based on its specific merits, its aesthetics, or community impact before they grant approval.
That makes perfect sense. So VSP is updating their flexible rules first and then rewriting the permanent rulebook later.
You've got it.
And then you look at Ville Marie, which is basically the heart of downtown. They adopted their alignment project at the end of 2025. And their focus is heavily on protecting heritage buildings while streamlining the creation of that non-market housing we talked about.
Right. Meanwhile, Le Sud-Ouest is running a 2-year participatory process with citizens to modernize their rules. They're aiming to become a significantly greener, more resilient area.
In Plateau Mont-Royal.
We definitely can't forget them. Historically, they've always been quite advanced regarding densification. Right now, they are busy revising their architectural criteria to ensure everything aligns with the new urban sequences defined by the 2050 PUM.
Okay, so if you're trying to read a public notice, cape to a lamppost, or God forbid you actually need to apply for a permit, you can get lost so fast.
Very fast.
Let's translate some of these other terms for you so you actually know what the city's talking about.
Yeah.
We've established the PUM as an overarching master plan deciding if an area is commercial or residential. But what about a PIIA and the CCU? Because these seem to pop up constantly when people talk about renovations in Montreal.
Yes, and these are absolutely vital to understand if you own property. PIIA stands for Site Integration and Architectural Program.
Okay.
Unlike that standard permit we discussed earlier where you just check technical boxes,
Yeah.
a PIIA means your project is going to be judged subjectively on its aesthetics.
Oh boy, subjective judging.
Yes, and the group doing that judging is the CCU, which is the Urban Planning Advisory Committee.
So who exactly is on this committee? Is it just bureaucrats?
No, it's essentially a neighborhood review board made up of citizens and elected officials, and it often includes resident architects or urban planners.
Oh, I see.
Think of them almost like a neighborhood homeowners association, but with architectural degrees and actual legal teeth.
Okay.
They evaluate if your choice of brick, the shape of your windows, or the height of your new addition harmonizes with the surrounding neighborhood.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
If I'm a homeowner and my roof is literally caving in, or I have a baby on the way and I desperately need to add a room, I cannot wait around for a committee to debate the historical accuracy of my shingles.
No, you really can't.
Does this process cause delays?
It absolutely does, and that is a major source of friction. The CCU technically only makes recommendations, but elected officials almost always follow those recommendations.
Right.
The crucial detail for you as a homeowner is that knowing your property is subject to a PIIA completely changes your timeline. Because your file must be reviewed by this committee, it generally adds 2 to 4 entire months to your permit approval delay.
An extra 4 months just for aesthetic review.
Yes.
That's a timeline nightmare for a family trying to renovate.
Yeah.
Is there any flexibility if a project breaks the rules but is actually, good for the neighborhood?
That brings us to our next acronym, the PPCMOI.
Ah, yes, the
Yeah.
exception path.
Right.
It stands for Specific Construction, Alteration, or Occupancy Proposal for an Immovable. That is a mouthful. I feel like I need a magnifying glass just to read the application for that one.
It is a bureaucratic mouthful, but what it represents is the city's built-in loophole for good behavior.
Loophole for good behavior. I like that.
Let's say your proposed project doesn't respect the strict zoning. Maybe you want to build 1 floor higher than the rulebook allows. Normally, that's a hard no.
Right.
But if your project is deemed highly beneficial to the community, perhaps it's exceptionally ecological, or it includes a significant amount of affordable social housing, The Borough Council can approve it through this special PPCMOI procedure.
So they will bend the rules, but only if you are helping them meet their 2050 goals.
Exactly.
I actually really like that approach. Now, let's put all this theory into practice. Let's create a hypothetical scenario for you, the listener.
Okay, let's do it.
Imagine I own a classic Montreal duplex in Villeray. It's got the exterior wrought iron staircase, a decent-sized backyard, and I want to renovate.
A very common scenario.
Specifically, I want to build an ADU in the back. Can you define what an ADU is and then walk me through the reality of getting this done under the new PUM?
Certainly. ADU stands for accessory dwelling unit. You might hear them called backyard houses, garden studios, or laneway suites.
Okay.
The 2050 PUM is heavily pushing ADUs as their preferred tool for gentle densification. It's a brilliant way to add housing stock to the city without having to bulldoze Montreal's beloved existing plexes.
Perfect. So I want to build a garden studio for my aging mother to live in, or maybe I just want to rent it out.
Okay.
If I am planning to modify my property, the landscape has entirely changed.
Completely changed.
What is my first hurdle?
You basically need a new playbook. So hurdle number 1, check your urban sequence.
Urban sequence.
Yes. Before you hire an architect or draw up a single plan, you must consult your borough's new interactive map. Because of the recent changes, your specific plot of land might now be located in an intensification zone.
Meaning what?
This means you might suddenly be legally allowed to build that ADU in your backyard, whereas just 2 years ago, it would have been strictly forbidden.
Okay, so I check the map, and I'm in an intensification zone. Green light. What's next?
Hurdle 2 is anticipating the heritage evaluation.
Heritage. For my backyard.
Yes. The 2050 PUM vastly expands heritage protection. You might think, my duplex is in a historic church. Why do I need a heritage evaluation?
Right, it's just a normal house.
But even if your building isn't officially designated as historic, if it is deemed of interest to the neighborhood's character, you will likely need to provide a very detailed heritage study before doing major work.
Wow.
To give you an idea of the scale, the city is planning the preventative inspection of over 8,000 buildings of 6 units or more over the next 5 years alone.
8,000 buildings in 5 years. They are taking this very seriously. Let's assume my duplex passes the heritage test. What is the third hurdle?
You must focus on the ecological transition. The design criteria have shifted aggressively towards sustainability. If you want your permit approved without endless revisions, you need to integrate green technology right from the conceptual phase.
So no old school gas furnaces.
No. The city expects to see things like heat pumps, solar panel readiness, and on-site stormwater management. If your ADU design relies on outdated, inefficient systems, it's going to hit a brick wall.
Okay, so to make room for this eco-friendly ADU, let's say I need to tear down a large, dilapidated garage that's currently taking up space in my backyard. Does the city care if I knock down an old rotting shed?
They absolutely care. That is hurdle 4, and it is a strict one, the demolition hurdle.
Oh boy.
Under the new guidelines, demolition has officially become an absolute last resort. In boroughs like Ville-Marie or VSP, you can no longer simply tear down a structure to clear space.
What do you have to do then?
You now have to provide hard, undeniable engineering proof that the existing structure is completely beyond repair before they will authorize a replacement. They want you to adapt and reuse existing structures whenever humanly possible.
This all sounds incredibly strict.
It is a massive shift in mindset.
I mean, the city is dictating the shape of the building, the historical accuracy of the facade, the type of heating system, and making me prove I can't save a rotting garage. As a homeowner, this feels like a mountain of expensive red tape. Are there any workarounds?
That is exactly where hurdle 5 comes in, leveraging discretionary tools.
The PPCMOI again.
Precisely. If your project hits a wall with the standard zoning, but you are bringing real value to the table, like adding that ADU which directly helps the housing crisis, you use the PPCMOI exception path. The framework is strict, yes, but it is designed to be flexible for projects that actively serve the collective 2050 objectives.
Okay, I understand the mechanics of it. But let's talk about the elephant in the room.
The cost.
The cost. If the city is demanding that my new ADU has a green roof, a high-efficiency heat pump, and historically accurate windows, my renovation budget is going to absolutely explode.
It certainly adds up.
Is the city offering any actual help, or are they just handing down expensive mandates?
This is a vital point, and I'm glad you brought it up. The city is well aware of the financial burden this places on homeowners. The shift toward the 2050 PUM is accompanied by some very significant financial levers. They're essentially opening the checkbook to help you absorb the costs of this massive compliance effort.
Let's follow the money then. What kind of subsidies are we actually talking about here? Because if I'm shelling out for a green roof, I want to know what's coming back.
The flagship program is the accessory Montreal program. They've completely redesigned it to hit those climate targets we discussed. They are now offering up to $25,000 per multi-unit building for energy transition work.
$25,000.
Yes. This covers upgrading the building envelope insulation, replacing old fossil fuel heating systems with electric heat pumps, or installing green and white roofs to combat the heat island effect.
Can you give us a concrete example of how that return on investment actually works out for the homeowner?
Absolutely. Let's say you undertake a $35,000 project to add a green roof and upgrade your insulation. Through Eco-Renoff, you could receive a $10,000 subsidy. So your immediate out-of-pocket cost drops to $25,000.
Okay, that helps.
But the ROI doesn't stop there. That specific ecological upgrade is estimated to boost your overall property value by 8 to 12%.
Wow.
Furthermore, your monthly energy bills will drop significantly. The city's stated goal is to achieve a 30% drop in energy consumption per unit through these upgrades.
A 30% drop is huge. That does make the bitter pill of regulation a bit easier to swallow. But what if my building has deeper issues, like a cracking foundation? Insulation won't fix that.
For that, there is the PRR, the Residential Renovation Program. This is aimed heavily at central sectors like Villeray or La Cité West.
Yeah.
If your building has major structural defects, foundations, load-bearing walls, major electrical overhauls, this program covers up to 50% of the eligible costs, maxing out at $15,000 per unit.
What about the ADU we were talking about earlier? Is there financial help specifically for building those backyard garden studios?
Yes, and the incentives here are arguably the most compelling. To push that gentle densification, the city and certain proactive boroughs are offering substantial ADU grants.
Let's hear the numbers.
Well, if you spend roughly $150,000 to build a high-quality ADU, the city recognizes that your property value will go up, which normally means a spike in your property taxes.
Right. Nobody wants higher taxes.
To offset this, they are offering property tax credits spread over 3 years. Additionally, some boroughs give you free access to consultant architects to help navigate that tricky CCU aesthetic review.
Wait, free architectural consulting. That is a huge perk considering how long those reviews take.
It really is, and the long-term ROI is excellent. You gain immediate rental income from the unit, and the addition of a secondary dwelling is estimated to add a 20% bump to your overall land value.
That's incredible.
Finally, for those caught in the strict heritage zones, there is the Logis-Fert and Heritage Aid.
Because heritage work is famously expensive.
Exactly. The city has allocated a $12 million annual budget specifically for restorative work. This helps cover the exorbitant costs of replacing old wooden windows with exact replicas or hiring specialized masons to restore original brickwork and cornices.
Okay, so there is real, tangible money on the table to help homeowners comply.
There is, but I must issue a very urgent warning to anyone listening who plans to apply for these subsidies. You must be meticulous. I see. Before you sign any contract or swing a single hammer, you must make absolutely sure your contractor is officially certified by the Régie du Bâtiment de Québec, the RBQ.
That sounds like standard advice, though. Always hire licensed professionals.
True, but it goes deeper than that. The materials you choose must appear on the exact official list of products approved by the Eco-Renoff program.
Wait, so if I go to the local hardware store and buy a high-end spray foam insulation, but it's not the specific brand the city listed, what happens?
If you make a single technical error or use an unapproved material, it can completely invalidate your entire subsidy application.
You kidding?
I am not. Imagine finishing a beautiful, eco-friendly renovation, submitting your receipts, and getting a rejection letter from the city because your insulation wasn't on page 42 of their approved registry. You do not want to be left holding a $25,000 bill because of an administrative oversight.
Ouch. Note to self, do not buy rogue insulation.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? When we step back from the acronyms and the subsidies, the core message for you, the listener, is clear. Montreal isn't just tweaking its zoning laws. It is fundamentally rewriting its urban DNA to survive the climate crisis and house its people, all while trying to protect its historic charm.
It really is a masterclass in municipal governance using both the stick and the carrot.
Right.
The city is wielding a very heavy stick through strict demolition rules, mandatory heritage evaluations, and demanding aesthetic reviews that add months to project timelines.
But the carrot is the cash.
Precisely. They are balancing that heavy stick with a massive carrot. Millions of dollars in direct subsidies, tax credits, and zoning exceptions for private homeowners who choose to align their personal property with the collective goals of the 2050 plan.
A heavy stick and a large carrot. I think that perfectly encapsulates what we've learned today from both wikiresidents.k and infodrone.k.
It does. And if we connect this to the broader philosophy of urban living, it raises a final important question for you to mull over as you walk around your own neighborhood.
Let's hear it.
If a city's master plan requires private properties to serve the community's environmental and aesthetic goals, literally dictating everything from the shape of a window to the type of roof and the social value of a renovation, at what point does a private home effectively become a public asset?
Wow. Where does the private home end and the public good begin? That is a fascinating, provocative thought to end on. We want to warmly thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope this exploration has given you a completely new perspective on the invisible forces shaping the streets around you. Keep exploring, stay curious, and the next time you hear the buzz of a renovation next door, try looking at it through this new 2050 focused lens. You might be surprised at what you see.